Welcome back to Journey to Growth. Today we're diving deep into a pattern that touches every single one of us. Blame. It's a universal experience, this tendency to point fingers when things go wrong. But what happens when blame becomes a habit? It can hold us back from truly growing. This journey requires courage and honesty. By overcoming blame, we unlock personal accountability. Blame can feel like a powerful shield, a way to deflect hurt and responsibility. But in truth, it's a cage, trapping us in a cycle of negativity and resentment. When we blame others, we give away our power. We relinquish our ability to learn, grow, and create positive change. Think about a time when you blamed someone else. Did it make you feel better? Did it solve the problem? Or did it leave you feeling stuck, angry, and disconnected? Blame rarely offers true resolution. Instead, it perpetuates a victim mentality, preventing us from taking ownership of our experiences. This doesn't mean we ignore wrongdoing or pretend everything is always our fault. It's about shifting our perspective. It's about understanding that even when others contribute to our pain, we always have a choice in how we respond. We can choose blame or we can choose growth. Breaking free from the blame cycle is a journey of self-discovery. It's about cultivating self-awareness, empathy, and a willingness to take responsibility for our thoughts, feelings, and actions. This is not an easy path, but it is a path paved with authenticity and courage. In the next part of this episode, we're going to dive deeper into the origins of blame. We'll explore its historical and psychological roots and understand why it's such a common human experience. By understanding where blame comes from, we can start to dismantle its power over us. Then we'll equip ourselves with practical strategies for overcoming blame in our own lives. We'll discuss how to cultivate self-reflection, develop greater empathy for ourselves and others, and learn to communicate our needs assertively without resorting to blame. This is about reclaiming your power, stepping into your truth, and building stronger, more fulfilling relationships. Blame isn't new. It's not some modern day invention. It's been woven into the fabric of human interaction since the dawn of time. If we look back through history, we see it everywhere. Ancient myths and stories are filled with characters blaming each other, gods blaming mortals, and mortals blaming fate. Why is that? Why is blame such a recurring theme throughout human history? It's because blame at its core is a survival mechanism. In a world of uncertainty and danger, our ancestors needed a way to make sense of threats. They needed someone or something to hold accountable. This instinct to assign blame, to find a cause for the chaos, helped our ancestors navigate a world full of very real dangers. It helped them avoid predators, protect their tribes, and ensure their survival. But as we evolved, so too did blame. Section 2. Seeking safety. Blame as a shield. Think of a young child who spills their milk. The immediate reaction might be to blame the cup, the table, even the air for making the milk fall. It's not about being intentionally deceptive. is about self-protection. They're trying to avoid the discomfort of admitting fault, of facing potential disappointment or punishment. This instinct to self-protect through blame doesn't disappear in adulthood. We carry it with us, often unconsciously. When we face criticism, failure, or hurt, our natural instinct is to deflect. We blame others to shield ourselves from the perceived danger of vulnerability. Blame becomes a way to maintain a sense of control in a world that often feels chaotic. It's a way to preserve our ego, our sense of self-worth, even when faced with evidence to the contrary. Section 3. The evolution of blame, from survival to self-sabotage. While blame may have served a valuable purpose in our evolutionary past, in the modern world, it often does more harm than good. Our survival is rarely on the line when we blame our partner for a fight, our boss for a missed promotion, or the government for our economic woes. Instead of fostering safety, blame creates division. It erects walls between us, fueling resentment, anger, and mistrust. It prevents us from having honest conversations, taking accountability for our actions, and ultimately growing as individuals. The key to breaking free from this cycle is to recognize that blame, while a natural human response, is a choice. We can choose to react with blame, or we can choose a different path. We can choose to lean into vulnerability, to take responsibility, and to approach ourselves and others with empathy. Section 1. The weight of misplaced responsibility. Blaming others burdens us with misplaced responsibility. It's like carrying an invisible suitcase of resentment and frustration. This emotional baggage weighs us down. Instead of blaming, shift focus to problem solving. Release the weight and move forward with grace. Section 2. Stunted growth. Blame's impact on self-awareness. Blame acts like a barrier, shielding us from self-reflection. When we point fingers outward, we fail to turn the mirror inward. We miss the chance to learn from our mistakes and grow. Blame is a detour, sign on the road to personal growth. It's a tempting exit to avoid responsibility, but leads to a dead end. The real journey requires facing our shortcomings with honesty. Section 3. The illusion of control. Blame and the elusive easy fix. Blame can feel deceptively empowering. It creates the illusion of control in a chaotic world. But this sense of control is fleeting and false. We can't control the actions of others or external variables. The only thing we can control is ourselves. Embrace uncertainty with acceptance and resilience. Section 1. The erosion of trust. Blame as a relational wedge. Relationships at their core are built on trust. Trust that we'll be there for each other, that will hold space for each other's vulnerabilities, and that will approach each other with kindness and understanding. Blame, however, chips away at this foundation. It creates cracks in the very structure of our connections. When blame enters a relationship, it's like placing a wedge between two people. Suddenly there are accusations, justifications, and a desperate need to be right. This focus on fault-finding overshadows the love, empathy, and compassion that are essential for healthy relationships to thrive. Imagine a garden. Trust is the fertile soil that allows love to blossom. Blame, on the other hand, is like a weed. If left unchecked, it will spread and choke the life out of even the most vibrant relationships. Blame's stifling effect on communication. Open and honest communication is the lifeblood of any healthy relationship. But when blame becomes the default mode, communication breaks down. Dialogue is replaced with defensiveness. Blame fuels disconnection. Section 3. Perpetuating the cycle. The ripple effect of blame in relationships. The damaging effects of blame rarely stay contained to a single interaction. Like a stone cast into a pond, blame creates ripples that spread outward, impacting the relationship as a whole. Over time, this can lead to a toxic cycle of blame, defensiveness, and resentment. Imagine a couple arguing about whose turn it is to take out the rubbish. What starts as a simple disagreement escalates into a blame-filled exchange about past grievances. Suddenly the rubbish is forgotten and both partners are left feeling hurt, angry, and misunderstood. This cycle of blame can be incredibly damaging, eroding the foundation of trust and intimacy. It creates a dynamic where both partners feel like victims, unable to communicate effectively or address the underlying issues. The result is often a relationship plagued by conflict, resentment, and emotional distance. Section 4. Breaking free from the blame game. Cultivating healthy accountability. Breaking free from the blame game requires a conscious effort to shift our perspective and adopt healthier patterns of communication. It's about moving away from accusations and judgments towards understanding, empathy, and personal accountability. This doesn't mean ignoring wrongdoing or pretending everything is fine. It's about approaching conflict as an opportunity for growth, both individually and as a couple. It's about creating a space where both partners feel safe to express their needs, take responsibility for their actions, and work together to find solutions. In the next part of this episode, we'll delve into practical strategies for overcoming the habit of blame in our relationships. We'll explore how to communicate our needs assertively without resorting to blame, how to cultivate empathy and understanding, and how to build a stronger, more resilient foundation for our relationships. Shifting the lens from blame to personal accountability. Breaking free from the blame game starts with a conscious choice. It's about deciding that we want something different for ourselves, for our relationships, and for our lives. It's about recognizing that while we can't control the actions of others, we can control how we respond to those actions. This shift begins by turning inward. Instead of immediately pointing fingers outward, we pause, we take a breath, and we ask ourselves, what role, if any, did I play in this situation? This isn't about self-blame, it's about taking ownership of our thoughts, feelings, and actions. Perhaps we contributed to the problem through our own actions or inactions. Maybe we weren't clear about our needs or boundaries. or maybe we simply made a mistake. Owning our part, even if it's uncomfortable, is the first step towards growth and change. Cultivating self-compassion, a foundation for growth. Taking responsibility for our actions can be challenging. It requires us to confront our imperfections and acknowledge our mistakes. This is where self-compassion becomes essential. It's about treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer a loved one. Imagine a close friend confiding in you about a mistake they made. Would you berate them, judge them, or tell them they're not good enough? Or would you offer them support, encouragement, and a listening ear? Self-compassion is about extending that same grace to ourselves. It's about recognizing that we are all works in progress, perfectly imperfect in our own unique ways. We will make mistakes. We will fall short, but that doesn't diminish our worthiness of love and belonging, especially from ourselves. Breaking free from blame doesn't mean staying silent about our needs or feelings. It's about learning to communicate assertively, expressing ourselves honestly and respectfully. Assertive communication finds the balance between passivity and aggression. It's about stating our needs clearly without blaming or attacking. Using I statements helps express our feelings and take ownership. Blame often stems from a lack of understanding. When we're focused on being right, on proving our point, we fail to see the situation from the other person's perspective. Empathy is the antidote to blame. It's about stepping outside of our own experience and trying to see the world through another person's eyes. This doesn't mean condoning or excusing hurtful behavior. It's about acknowledging that everyone is fighting their own battles, carrying their own baggage, and doing the best they can with the resources they have. When we can approach others with empathy, we create a space for compassion and understanding. Cultivating empathy requires us to be curious, to ask questions, and to listen with an open mind and heart. It's about trying to understand the other person's motivations, fears, and insecurities. This doesn't excuse their behavior, but it can help us to respond with greater compassion and understanding. Imagine a life unburdened by the need to blame. Picture yourself free from resentment and defensiveness. Choose accountability over blame. It's a journey of courage and compassion. You can choose growth and move forward with resilience. Release blame and open up to possibilities. The journey towards a blame-free life is not always easy. It requires us to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves and to embrace vulnerability. When we choose accountability over blame, we cultivate stronger, more fulfilling relationships. And we create a space where love, trust, and intimacy can truly flourish.